it is. But if it's not, you would be listening. Okay. Good morning and welcome to the English Gospel Sunday at 10. So today is September 27th, 2015, and we are a 501 organization. You have the seminars here at available at YouTube, and you have the URL here, www.youtube.com/Miami for a live seminars. So today's reading is from the book Our Daily Bread, Francisco Cândido Javier, by the Spirit Emmanuel, chapter 150. He is one and the same. Because the Father himself loves you. Jesus 16:27. Let no one scorn the value of trust. Let no servant flee from the benefit of being cooperative. Whoever can give something useful today might have required collaboration tomorrow. However, if though someone becomes enriched with fraternity and faith, let him or her not forget the need to evolve infinitely in the good. Earnest workers of the gospel must act against pernicious favoritism. The divine work has no privileged individuals. In its numerous areas, they are highly devoted and faithful workers. Nevertheless, they should not be seen as objects of worship, but respected and imitated as symbols of loyalty and service. Creating human idols is worse than worshiping statues. Marble is impassive, but the worker is our neighbor, whose status no one should abuse. Let everyone pay the tribute of their own efforts to life. The Supreme Lord expects only this of us in order to make us his direct collaborators. Christ himself affirmed that the same Father who loves him loves all humankind equally. The God who inspires the doctor is the same one who helps the sick. It matters little if Asians or Europeans can call God by different names. Invariably, he is the same Father. Let us therefore preserve the light of consolation, the blessing of our fraternal assistance, and the trust in our guides and masters, assured of their watch care. However, let us not forget that we have to use our own 2 feet to proceed towards the Most High. For reflection about today's reading. In today's reading, Emmanuel reminds us that God loves us all equally, because in the divine work there are no privileges. The Lord expects that each person make their own effort and that we keep the consolations light, the blessing of brotherly love and duty to natural evolution, using our own feet. As honest workers of the gospel, we're working against the pernicious favoritism and the full faith that God loves humanity independently of the name in which we call him. Prayer. Let's sit comfortably right now, our eyes. And let's raise our thoughts to our Divine Master. through the good spirits and the benefactors of this house. Let's thank Jesus for all of the blessings received in our lives. All of the blessings that makes us evolve, the blessings of the reincarnation, which makes it possible for us to become better persons. Let us be inundated by His light, Father, by your light, by your love. And let's think every day how to become better person. How to let the old me, old us behind and create a new one. Let's ask for guidance for today's speaker. They can communicate and show us all the truth about today's seminar, and we can digest and understand and take it home and practice little by little, being better day by day. So let's start today's gospel, and let's thank God for everything. Amen. So today we have chapter 1, I Have Not Come to Destroy the Law, by Luis. And Luis is a member of the Cadet Spiritism Innovation, and it's a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome back.
Good morning again, everyone.
Good morning.
So the study today is about chapter 1 of the gospel. Instead of just going through the chapter, like reading in as it is, what we did is we're going to put a twist on it. So we brought this study here that we call, or I call, the 3 revelations, and it's going to address everything that we are going to study here is in chapter 1. It's just in a different order. Like I said, a twist on it. Okay, when we try to understand where Spiritism comes about, okay, and what it's going to do for us, because that's the ultimate. If we can't leave here with anything new, it wasn't worth it all. So we're going to shake up, our thoughts and our knowledge. Let's see where we can get. All right, it all starts for us Spiritists. It all starts all the way back in the time of Moses with the first revelation. So he'll bring us the first heavy, per se, kind of information about divinity, relation to the spiritual world and stuff like that. Of course, we can't understand any of that at the time. We are, our comprehension level is very low. About 1,300, 1,400 years later, Jesus comes with another twist, and he brings the same message, but with another angle of interpreting and how to use it. You see, one thing is, at the time of Moses, it wasn't really a hands-on kind of thing. It's all about don't do this, don't do this, do this. It's not really do this. And Jesus is going to say, no, do this. He's going to put our hands to work. Okay, so it's a slightly different approach. And then later on, Allan Kardec in 1857 with the Spirits books brings us not only do, but why I'm doing it. It brings the explanation. So, when we say something like on the first revelation, don't kill, that means one thing. In here, it means another thing. It's the same phrase, but the level of consciousness is completely different. Okay, so we want to, go through this transition, how things happen, and what we can make out of it. Okay, so the first revelation, we hear about this. The Hebrews, the Jews were the chosen people. Well, the chosen is kind of a strong word, maybe, but there were some things that made it more likely that they would be the ones to receive this first revelation, and some of the things were like they were being challenged. So, among those factors that would make them be the ones to receive the revelation is several years before the first revelation, Abraham started talking about simple God, a single God. Monotheism is installed, replacing the old polytheism. And so by then, and this happens about 800 years before Moses, so they had about 800 years listening to this one God kind of thing. So they were kind of familiar with monotheism at the time. It would be a lot easier than you just get a lot of pagans and say, you're all wrong, there's one God. That's a lot more difficult, okay? And since Abraham, the old times, the old days, the old patriarch, they have been, and the Jews are still to this day, they are very favors followers of God. To this day, they practice their faith very based, very strong connection with that. So it made it at the time just easier to understand for them. But also at the same time, there were some challenging factors. And one of them is this: they had a tremendous spiritual deficit. There is no idea of matter and spirit. We are spirit, we are matter. It's all kind of one thing. It's not really clear at the time. So somebody had to, at one point in time, somebody had to tap their finger and say, I'm going to explain something to you. And that is the time. And another thing is that, I'm trying to go back here. Okay. It's what Spirit Emmanuel calls the proud vanity. Okay, where the Jews thought they were, at the top of the world, the very best, very ahead of everybody. And here's one phrase in the book, On the Way to the Light, that Emmanuel puts to us, explaining why he calls proud vanity. Look at this. At the time, they were waiting for the Messiah to come in. So every Jew is waiting for that. They don't know who it is. They don't know when it's going to come, but they're just waiting. So this is what Emmanuel says about this. The Lord, so this Messiah, would arrive in a magnificent chariot in his divine glory. Look at the thing. Magnificent chariot in his divine glory. So it's a lot of pomp. Escorted from heaven to earth by a legion of its thrones and angels. So it's getting bigger, right? He would humiliate all the kings of the world. Look at that. And comfort on Israel, the supreme scepter, to guide all the people on the planet. He would perform all sorts of miracles, eclipsing the glory of the Caesars. So that's their state of mind at the time. So they're waiting for somebody that will perform this. And so this tells us what they think about themselves. They think they're very superior, very way up there. And that's what Emmanuel calls proud vanity. So it's time to learn something different. So that, of course, is going to be a challenge for them to change their ways and understand a new idea, but eventually they will. Yeah, so the first revelation comes to us through Moses. And why him and who is him, right? So this is not biography, but very in a pinch. He was born in 1300 BC. Okay, when he was born, his mother puts him on a basket. Body goes down the river, and he goes to the pharaohs. He's taken by the pharaohs, and he's raised in a palace, completely different than his people. So he had a different level of access to things in general, culture, language, different things, knowledge that these people, his people, didn't have at all. So it was a different person altogether when he gets to be older. Okay, so this is a man who had to be prepared for this thing to happen. He wasn't anybody like, let's play the lotto or you. It wasn't a bingo game. Okay, it was really somebody that was, had the ways to do this thing properly as he did. So he comes down from Mount Sinai and gives us the 10 Commandments. Now, think about this. If you go back at the time, okay, our level of knowledge is nothing. We kill people like we speak. We can speak or kill. It's the same thing. The level of understanding is minimum. So When he comes down the mountain and says, here is one thing for you, don't kill, that's not understandable for this. That's absurd. That's absurd because I just killed 3 people this morning, and I killed people yesterday, and I was planning to kill this guy in this afternoon. It doesn't make any sense to them. Why can't I kill if I've been doing this all my life? If everybody that I know do the same thing. So it's very challenging for these people being us at the time, right? It's very challenging. So what he had to do is he had to create a set of disciplinary laws that will make these, will support these 10 commandments. So for example, don't kill is one of these commandments. But if I tell you, if I put a disciplinary law like this, don't kill. If you kill, you're gonna go to jail. That's a disciplinary law. If you're gonna go to jail, is not divine law, but it's addressing, it's an incentive for us to, keep going on the right track. So Moses had to bring, on top of the 10 commandments, he had to bring 613 disciplinary laws for this whole thing to happen. That becomes 623. For the Jews, they are all the same. They are not in a position to understand this is the divine law, this is Mosaic law, as we say today in 2015. For them, it's the law. It's the law of God. They can't tell the difference. They don't know what it is. And these disciplinary laws with the divine laws generates a lot of revolt. Like I said, I used to kill. I killed this guy this morning. Now I can't. They don't understand that. So when Moses brings these 613 laws, okay, for the Jews at the time, it is all divine law. That's what they think it is. Now, what is the difference between a divine law and these disciplinary laws that we still have in place today? In our society, Western civilization especially, right? Christian civilization. Divine laws do not recognize time and space. When we got the notice, don't kill, that applied on that day, it applies today. It applied in Jerusalem, it applies in Miami. It's timeless, it goes through time and space. It cannot be modified. I can't change that. The law, that's what it is. I'm not in a position to change. I can change the disciplinary laws, but I can't change the divine law, right? I cannot adjust the laws to my interest because don't kill is don't kill, right? And I can't, adjust to my personal conveniences. Don't kill is don't kill. All of these things that I can do, change, modify, adapt the law, those have to be done through disciplinary laws. That's what Moses did. Disciplinary laws change with time. Okay, there was a time where we could, if you go back in our history, say 400 or 500 years ago, I could be talking to somebody else and say, oh, I have 30 slaves. And he would say, oh, I'm better than you, I have 70. And I would say, but I'm buying 50 more. And this is regular conversation at the time. 500 years later, today, that doesn't apply anymore. It's a different disciplinary law, okay? In the old days, you would be stoned to death. Disciplinary laws change. Now you're going to go to jail, and it's going to be a little different. So disciplinary laws respond to time and space, okay? Something that applies here today, for example, killing. You might have one consequence in the United States today and another consequence in, let's say, China today. So time and space matters for disciplinary laws, okay? Not for divine laws. But the Jews don't know that. For them, it's all divine. So God is telling me to get killed, because go to jail because I killed. It's not God telling you, it's Moses. It's a disciplinary law. All right, so Moses brings the first revelation, and it goes through time. Of course, it's still in place today. So, it goes through all these years of the Jews learning their process and, learning their laws until about the year 60. Before Christ, when the Roman Empire consolidates and conquers what today is the Greece and Judea. And then things start to change because now you have a clash of cultures. You have your own laws. The Jews had their own laws, their own ways, their own culture. And then the Roman Empire comes with something completely different and steps on it. And now you're going to have to do with two laws, because you're under Roman domination with a different culture and different laws. And the laws are, you have to sacrifice, you have to do certain things, you have to behave certain ways. And these things are incompatible with Mosaic law. So, what am I going to respond to now? Do I follow my old law? Do I follow theirs? Do I go half and half? It's complicated. It's just imagine if, let's say, for example, another country with a different culture than us, completely different, takes over the US and they impose on China, yeah, and they impose on us. Today, as of today, this is your new lifestyle. It's going to be a nightmare for us because we're simply not used to it. It was for them. And we have a much better level of understanding today. So you can see how bad it is. And one of the things that made it really bad was the idea of a tax collector, not because of the money. It's the what the money means, but because the Jews, they had these like a pot of money that everybody would put money on, and it would revert back to the society, like a condominium, you would say. And that wasn't happening anymore because the tax collector collected all the money from all the Jews, but it would take to Rome, and nothing was ever coming back in any form, money wise, or investments or construction, nothing like this. So it was money thrown out the door, and for them that was it was very complicated. They couldn't understand that. All right, so in the middle of all this thing, the Jews are under their own laws, trying to understand Mosaic law and so and so. Now the Roman law is on top of this thing. In the middle of this, somebody comes in and says, it's nothing like this. It's something like that. You get it all wrong. And that's what the second revelation is. Okay? Jesus reveals a different law. It's not Mosaic law as it is. As we know, it's not Roman law. It's the law of love. It's different. It's going to look into a different thing. It's going to look into the spirit, not in the body. It's a different level of consciousness. Obviously, we can understand that very well because we're still struggling to understand the Roman domination, which, for 60 years we couldn't do yet at this time. He's going to give us a God. He's going to show us a God that is merciful and forgiving. And that is strange for the faith at the time, because God is the one that created the 623 laws for all purposes. And he's imposing me, penalties and things like that. That's the thought at the time. So when Jesus says there's no penalty, nothing like this, God is not bad, God is not what you think it is, that's hard to understand, hard to comprehend. Okay, he's going to talk about charity. He's going to talk about the other face. Somebody comes in with hate, you offer love, and that's completely different from an eye for an eye. An eye for an eye, you come with hate, here's my hate, all of it, right? So it's different. It's a different concept in a different time where our level of understanding is completely different. Okay, so how do we offset this thing? How do we reconcile? Some people just couldn't do it, and those who did, those who understood, went to the arenas and became food for lions. It's a choice. Okay, some of us still haven't made that choice today. No? Okay, so we'll get to a point where we're all gonna understand this a little better, and that's why the gospel says Jesus came to break the law. And that's why the famous phrase, which is this one here, I'm not going to read it all now because we're going to go through in details. I did not come to destroy the law. And the Jew says, you came to destroy the law. Because what is the law for them? 623. That's the law. They don't know any better if it's divine or Mosaic. It's the law, okay? So we're going to go a little bit through these texts and see what exactly Jesus is telling us and why it's so hard to understand. Now, who is telling us that? I did not come to destroy the law. Who is this guy in the middle of all of us who is telling us this thing? Okay, so here's some information. We know the planet has been around for 4.5 billion years ago, and life on the planet has been around 3.5 billion years ago. And there was someone, a spirit, coordinating all of this. That spirit was Jesus, governor of the planet. So he was angelical 4.5 billion years before that time. That tells you something, right? It wasn't just somebody, like out of the ordinary. It's a high caliber spirit. It's an angelical spirit that's gonna do all this work, coordinate everything, and made it all happen. So this is the Spirit that is telling us, I did not come to destroy the law. And we still keep saying, yeah, you did. So look at our level of, comprehension now. So he tells us this, we don't understand, but let's look at the phrase. Let's look at exactly what is said. Do not think that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. Okay, stop. Which law? Because now we have so many laws. We have Roman law, we have Mosaic law. Which law? For the Jews, the law is the 613. They don't know any better. They think that those penalties and rules came from God. Don't kill. There's no penalty in there. There's no punishment in there. Don't kill. There's no punishment. We put the punishment as a social law, as a disciplinary law. So, you see, the meaning of law for the Jews and the Hebrews is not what it should be. That's why they see God as the great, he puts punishment on our ways, and he does all these things because, they think it's all divine. Only the 10 laws are divine. 613 are disciplinary. So when he says, I have not come to destroy the law, which law? I have not come to destroy the divine law, but I have come to show you that you have to change your disciplinary laws. That's what this means. And it was changed. And it changes every day in our Congress, in our politicians around the world. That's what they do. They change laws to adapt to times, to culture, to needs, different things, right? For example, here's a very easy thing. If we never had the level of technology that we have today, we would not have cybercrime. So if we never addressed a law or tried to address cybercrime, it wouldn't be a completely different story. So we had to change, we had to adapt. Time goes by, things change. We have to be dynamic enough to follow it. All right, keep going here on the same phrase. I have not come to destroy them, the law and the prophets, but to fulfill them. So he's saying, I came to fulfill the law. When you tell me you're going to fulfill something, right, it means that thing is already in place. You're not creating anything, right? I came to fulfill this law. So the law is already there in place. I'm just going to abide to it, and I'm going to show you how you can abide to it, show you how it is. He came to practice and show us. You see, one thing is I can tell you, don't get angry. And I angry myself here, okay? And the other thing is, don't get angry, and I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to go in front of you through situations that will, in theory, make me angry. I'm going to show you now how to get angry. So he came to show. He was our showroom, right? With the way he behaved and trying to show us something else. Okay, so Jesus comes, second revelation, and this thing goes through time. It didn't die. It's still in place. It's still valid today. Okay, so what happens? Jesus himself tells us it's going to continue. He calls for what he says, a consoler, the coming of a consoler, which arrives in 1857 with Allan Kardec. And before that, you see, the Roman Empire and humanity in general go through a lot of changes. The Roman Empire goes up and down, becomes the politics and church become one, okay, which complicates even more, but that's another story. So we go through better times and more difficult times. We got into the industrial revolutions, where technology becomes a little more relevant at the times, and then the press comes as a tool. So now we can all print the same book all over the place, and people can read, which raises the level of knowledge as well. So we go through all these things throughout 1800 years. And then Allan Kardec comes with this. You see, he came after the press, after we had printed press. He came after our level of knowledge, literacy was not 5%, but it was about 70. So things had to be prepared. You just can't have, here's a spirit's book, and nobody can read. It doesn't do any good, right? All right, so he comes along publishes a spirit's book, This is the name of the book. The names of the books in the past were like a paragraph. Right? We don't do this anymore, but this is the actual name of the book. The Spirit's Book, Principle of the Spiritist Doctrine Concerning the Immortality of the Soul, the Nature of Spirits and Their Relationship with Humankind, Moral Laws, the Present Life, the Future Life, and the Destiny of Humanity, according to the teachings given by highly evolved spirits through several mediums, received and coordinated by Allan Kardec. That's the name of the book. That's huge. But at the same time, it tells you what the book is about. It's about something that we haven't heard yet. It's something new. That's the third revelation. So he's going to speak about things that, of course, matters to us, but we're not aware of it yet. So Allan Kardec publishes the first book, and then a set of other books. Spiritism didn't die, so it continued. How did it continue? First, with Allan Kardec himself, writing more than 10,000 pages, okay, himself, by his own hand. There's no internet, no copy and paste, nothing like this, no, nothing, okay? And he publishes the Spiritist Review. This story here is another lecture, but, you know, we can tell how much he wrote until his departure to the spiritual world in 1869. So he left a lot of material for us to read and understand, and most of us haven't read anything yet, everything yet. Anyway, so Spiritism continues from here. After his death, how does it continue? Because he's still around, so it continued. It didn't die, right? Well, it continues with other people, other mediums, publishing texts that they receive through mediumistic sessions, and, you know, their ability to capture the information from the other side and put on text and put on books. So and that's going to give us even more knowledge, and the knowledge is a little different now because it comes from the other side. It's somebody looking from the other side. Our side and their side is not the same. We look at the same event and we see different things. So we're going to have a different view of, you know, what life is and how we should behave and all of that. So it continues. It continues in our daily stuff. Every time the scientist goes into a lab to do a quantum research, and they look into the atom and they say, well, let's, you know, increase the power of my microscope. And they get these little dots of energy, quarks. Let's go even more. There's nothing. So matter, there's no matter in matter. They find nothing. It's very challenging for them. And now I mean, the last 20 years, 18, 20 years, we started to understand what's all behind it. So it is now possible, very possible, that on the same table, you put a quantum researcher and a spiritualist for all purposes, and they're talking the same language. They don't use the same words, but they are talking the same languages. So that's part of the revelation. It's being revealed not by a man coming down and, or books. It's revealed by us finding what it all meant, right? Here's another one, ecology. We are finding that if we don't respect ecology and if we don't respect the environment, it comes back to us. And there's more than just, you know, killing animals and trees, you know, with left and right with no purpose whatsoever. Genetics, we go into genetics every day. Out in a lab we find something new. Every day we find there's a gene that does this and that. Every single research reveals something different. We are finding these are everyday things in different professions, of course. Molecular biology, where we find, you know, how the body works, and certain things don't make sense because for the same stimulus, right, this person reacts one way, this person reacts the other way. And now we're finding out why. It has to do with our body, and our bodies are not formed equally because there's something high above telling the body, you're going to react this way now, but you're going to react this way in a different situation. In medicine, where, you know, we now with the PET scans, the MRIs and PET scans, we look into the brain of a person and we can tell exactly what's going on one level above it, which is consciousness. See, we can see what the mind is telling the brain by looking at these PET scans. And these things are in our everyday. Every Monday morning, you know, the scientists go to his lab every Monday morning. You know, the doctor goes to his clinic. And so these are everyday revelations. Now, what about us? Us, we are not any of these things, right? In our daily life, we go to work, we say hello, and so our daily routine. Our daily routine shows the revelation in our emotions. Every time we go through, especially us here, Spiritists, every time we go through an emotion, especially if it's a bad emotion, we stop after that and say, wow, I shouldn't have done that because it's in a revelation. We're still going to do it several times. It's part of the process. But we know, it's in my routine. It's several times in my days. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have acted that way. I should have done that and I didn't. I should have made this choice instead of that choice. So it is us carrying out the revelation. We are doing that. And it has to do with our level of consciousness. Some of us will do it easier. Some of us, we're going to have a hard time, dealing with these emotions. But it's all part of the revelation. We relate to all of these things. Now, today, in modern times, Spiritism continues. You see, this is the first revelation that became a second. The second became the third, and the third is still going on. It still applies out there. We are the ones carrying this out. We Spiritists, we are the one carrying this out, but not coming here and doing lectures every day, 3 times a day. Not by telling you, you got to read the books. Not by saying, let me read this beautiful phrase. That's not how we carry out. We carry out by being who we are. We carry out by doing what we should do, and our colleague, our work, mates, and our boss, our whoever is with us, that don't know us very well, except for those professional environments, they will come to us at one point and say, "You're slightly different. You don't get so mad. You do this different. Everybody's feeling this. You're not. What's up? What's up? Who are you? What do you do? What do you read?" They will question us. They will ask us to, speak a little bit about ourselves. And that's the revelation for them, because it's already revealed to us. So we are the ones revealing, these things to them. We are the ones carrying out. And that puts a lot of responsibility on us, because what we, say, what we do is what they're going to see. Okay. All right. So this is Spiritism in today's world. Now let's analyze a little bit here. Let's say that we saw that there are 3 levels of consciousness, right? The first revelation is at a certain level. The second is a higher level. And the third level, the Spiritism, is at an even higher level. Now, it would be interesting if we could have right here on stage the 3 people who brought these revelations to us sit down, and we're going to do an interview. It would be awesome. Can we imagine like having Moses, Jesus, and Kardec, and we're going to ask questions? I mean, Q&A, that would be nice. That would be nice. So we would just get some questions and ask them, because they were bringing this. What was your feeling about bringing this? What did you feel? What did you feel yourself? And what did you feel giving this to us? So let's put these 3 guys, not really on stage, but virtually. We're going to ask them some questions. So it's a set of 8 questions that we're going to ask them. Let's see what they respond, okay? All right, question number 1. You guys brought these laws to us. Whom are these laws for? Moses is going to say, well, for the Hebrews, right? Jesus is going to say, for all people on earth. See, it's a different level. And Kardec's going to say, it's the whole universe. These are universal laws. Look at the difference in the level of consciousness. Question number 2, how long are these laws valid for? Okay, you brought them to us. How long are they valid for? Moses, for your whole life until your death. You die, they don't apply anymore, right? Jesus, for the whole life, both corporeal and spiritual. You raise the level a little bit, okay? And Allan Kardec is going to explain to us, these are eternal laws. It applies no matter what. If you die, if you don't die, if you're alive, if you're not alive, it just doesn't matter. They're still around, because these are divine laws. They came from a higher realm altogether. Okay, third question. What ideas do these laws express? So Moses, force and absolutism, because we cannot understand don't kill, so it's going to be force. It's like a dictator. He came as a dictator because we needed that at the time, a spiritual dictator per se, using modern language. So he would say, that's it, force and absolutism. Okay, that's what's behind the law. The law expresses that. Jesus, counseling. Jesus never send anybody to jail, never said anything bad to anybody. He would just counsel us. Don't do this, do that. I wouldn't go this way. I would go that way. The adulterous woman, I don't blame you, but I'm going to give you a counsel. I'm going to tell you this. Don't do this again. It's counseling. It's not punishment. Okay? Punishment is down here. And Allan Kardec, expansibility and liberation, where now we know why we're doing this. Now we know, I'm acting this way, and wow, I feel just so great because I know why. When you don't know why, you don't have this sense of expansibility, that being great, that being, such a great person. Fourth question: what do these laws demonstrate? Number one, Moses, force and fear. You gotta fear God. Here's what it is. It is what it is. Stop asking questions, right? Jesus, what do they demonstrate? Faith and love. You see, you can have a very difficult or a very harsh father in your childhood, but there's a purpose behind it. You're only gonna find that 30 years later. You see, so this is the 30 years later here. Okay, this is me trying to put my finger in the outlet and getting, tapped. And this is, I'm glad you did it, because now I have my hands. Okay. So what do these laws demonstrate? Allan Kardec, faith with reason, like Jesus said. Faith with love, but with reason. And love, not only love, unconditional love. So you see, this answer and this answer to the same question are completely different. And we are having the opportunity, all of us, to live here. Okay? If we choose to, it's a choice. Question number 5. What is the attitude before these laws that we presented? So, Moses, submission and obedience. That's it. We don't argue. Jesus, take action. Do something. You shouldn't do this, you should do that. Do it. Hands on. Do it. Okay? He's inviting for us to take action. And Allan Kardec, action, yes, but with responsibility, because there are consequences. So you see, it's a different story altogether. Question number 6, how to interpret these laws? Moses, these are the laws of God. Okay, Jesus, this is how we practice the law of God. I came to show you. I'm going to abide to the law, and you're going to see what it is like. Allan Kardec, this is how we comprehend the law of God. You see, this is the law, period, don't ask. Okay? I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you how and explain why. 3 different things. Okay? Question number 7. How would you call these laws? Moses, law of justice. Jesus, law of love. Kardec, law of the eternal truth. 3 different things, completely different. Last question, number 8. Where are these laws inscribed? Moses, I carved it in stone myself. All right, it's on a tablet. Jesus, in your hearts. Allan Kardec, question 621, in our conscience. All right. So you see, this and this are completely different. So now we can see the evolution of the first revelation becoming the second, becoming the third, and so on and so on and so on and so on. All right, so how do we use this for ourselves in 2015? Okay, so let's just put these laws here, okay? The 3 revelations. And I'm going to say a few things to see where I am in this path. So let's say I come here to you in front of all of you and I say this. I am in favor of the death penalty. Okay, let's see. I come here and tell you that. Where am I here? I'm on the black. I'm on the dark, literally. I'm in the dark because I have not even comprehended the first revelation. 27 out of the 50 states in the US support death penalty. We are in the dark, okay? And I tell you, well, she will pay for what she did to me. Okay, so where am I here? I'm on the red. I'm in the red because I already comprehended that, I shouldn't kill her, but she's going to pay for it. This is the an eye for an eye. Okay, so I already understood this, but I didn't understand that yet. So let's say we're drive here on the turnpike and somebody keeps horning behind us and they want to pass over and they pass us and we say things and we do gestures and we say, I wish he crashes the car right ahead. Because this is a coincidence. We don't do this. Of course, we never do this. This is just hypothetical, right? Where are we here? Red. I'm not threatening the guy's life, so I'm not going to kill him or something like that, but I didn't comprehend that there's consequences and I shouldn't do that. So I'm driving a car before the car was even invented, 2,000 years ago. I'm living 2,000 years ago when I do that. When I say, I can't forgive him, he did something to me, I'm really mad. Wow, but I can't forgive him. Okay, where? Yellow, right? I know I have to forgive. I just can't. It's, wow, but I know I have to. So I understood this message. So I'm in the yellow, right? And if I tell you I'm working on my moral transformation. I'm trying to change. Yeah, I'm on the green. It doesn't mean that I already changed, but it means that I know I have to change. So I comprehended, understood what he said. So you see, these are simple things that tell us where we are in time. So every time we go like, I want to kill that person, I should change my clothing because it's not appropriate for the year 500 BC. You see, we need to go by that. That's how we catch ourselves doing the wrong thing. The more awareness, as we go along this line here, right, we raise in awareness and in moral progress as we follow this. So if I'm here in the dark, my level of awareness is almost none. My level of moral progress is almost none. And then you will get better as I comprehend and go up the path here, okay? Now, nobody said anything about being incarnate or discarnate. This applies to anyone. So those who are not incarnate are going through the same thing, subject to the same law, eternal laws. You see, it doesn't die on the last day of your physical life. And so it's a much greater thing. So that's what the three revelations are all about. How we're trying to go from like 4,000 years ago and get to what we should be, where we should be in 2015. For some of us, it's easier. Some of us have already done that. And for some others, it's more difficult. Everyone is at a different level. Not everybody's the same, of course, right? So it's going to be more time or less time, depending on the person. Thank you very much, and you have a good morning. Thank you. Okay, we're going to do our final prayer now. Concentrating on the image of our Master Jesus. Master, thank you very much for all the blessings in our lives, all the good times and the hard times, the learning times and the reward times. Dear Master, we would like to thank for the opportunity we had today here to get all together and learn a little bit more about your teachings, about this beautiful doctrine. We would like to ask you, Master, to be with those who are in prisons, who have not comprehended, who have not understood the value of life, not understood the opportunity they were given or they are being given to progress, to be better, to do more for themselves. We'd like to also have your energy surrounding the hospitals, those who are going through diseases and hard times. Several times they do not comprehend, they revolt. Master, we would like to have you help them as well. And for all ourselves here, thank you very much once again. For those who couldn't be here with us, Master, we would like that the information that you gave to us makes their way into their consciousness. Thank you so much, and be it.